this is my recap of Chrisley Knows Best. I'm going to assume that this is the season premiere called Patriarch or Perfection. It was actually the second episode recorded on my DVR, but it introduces everyone. So it seems to me that this should be the first episode. So I'm going to go with that. Now, the Chrisleys are a family of 7. There's mom and dad, Todd and Julie, and there are 5 children. The oldest is, where's her name? Lindsey, and she married without daddy's permission and has a son named Grayson, and it appears that she's married to someone named Will, and no prenup, nothing like that, and Todd does not like Will. Next down the line is Kyle. We don't know a lot about Kyle. He hasn't really appeared a whole lot. I feel bad for him because he's obviously kind of struggling, and I don't know if he's spoiled or what his deal is, but I don't think I'd want to be on a reality show if I was kind of screwing up in life. All we know about him is that dad has spent almost $1 million trying to get his life worked out, and then at some point Kyle was having an affair with a married woman, and dad picked him up with 2 security guards and sent him off to Samoa for 8 months to do some community work. So that's a little intense. Next down is Chase, who is either 16 or 17. They referred to him as being 16, and then mom referred to him as being her 17-year-old. So I'm not exactly how sure. I'm just going to say 17 and call it good. Next down is Savannah, a pageant girl. She is 15, right on the edge of 16. She turns 16 the next episode. And then the youngest is Grayson. He's in 1st grade, so that's like what, like 6, 7 years old. And he seems like a spoiled little brat. I mean, that's kind of how they're portraying him. He's got these little snappy lines, and he doesn't listen to his parents, and he backtalks and all that. Not my thing, but, you know, it's TV. They all look alike. They all kind of dress alike. Dad, Todd, they're all rich, and he is got these little sassy little comeback lines. He's really into fashion. He picks up the clothing for everyone in the family. He's overprotective, controlling, micromanaging. I know these aren't the most positive things to say about him, but that's the case. He has made a significant amount of money in real estate. He said a huge percent of all the money he's made, like 95, 98, something like that, percent of his money he's made in real estate. They live in a 30,000 square foot house north of Atlanta. And he's done real estate his whole life, and now he gets to, you know, have his dream of fashion. So he wants to open a high-end department store of the South called Chrisley and Company, which I guess is something that we're going to be seeing evolve throughout the season. So he's looking at a location that's 5-something million and so many million in inventory, and he has hired a buyer to buy stuff, and he wants to do a whole lifestyle brand. And he's talking about investing about 35% of his net worth. Now, I don't know if that's going to cover the entire department store, if he's taking out mortgages and loans. The whole thing makes me nervous. That's not how I handle money. I can't imagine him investing 35% and then having, if he's taking out loans and stuff, that's even crazier. Like, that can make you go bankrupt. That sounds just crazy to me, but it's not my money, so thank goodness. And I definitely don't know that a high-end department store is like sound money. Even in this, you know, the economy is better than it was, say, 5, 6 years ago, but it's still not exactly, we're not exactly the 80s here. Anyway, that pretty much covers most of the episode. The only other thing we see is Savannah, the 15-year-old, and Chase, the 17-year-old, go to a nail salon to get their nails done, which is not something I knew 17-year-old boys were into. And Chase wants to go to a local football game, like a high school football game with his friends. And Savannah's like, oh, Dad won't, you know, just ask Dad. And he asks Dad, and Dad says, no way, which surprises me because I consider that my parents were probably the most protective parents I knew. That's just how I grew up. I was kind of proud of that. And I was allowed to go to football games. So to hear, in my mind, to hear that someone is more protective than my parents, just automatically I assume, well, they must be wrong because my parents were right. That's just, you know, you grow up a certain way and you assume that that's right. Anyway, he goes out to the game and his dad catches him. Apparently his dad has all their computers monitored, so he knows what sites they're looking at. He can see all their text messages. He kind of delves into everyone's private life. And I grew up that there were certain things that regardless of your age, you still were allowed to hold private, like journals and things like that. And my parents would never go through that stuff purposely and snoop. You know, if they heard something, that'd be one thing, but they would never like listen on the phone or anything like that on purpose. So to me, that just seems like a huge invasion of privacy. But apparently that's just how the Chrisleys roll. And so he catches his son at this football game and he boots his car. And I kind of think, like, these people can't be for real. Like, are you from that area? Is that like, are they for real? Have you heard of them? And if so, tell me about it. Okay, I'm off to watch the next episode.